Okay, thank you everybody. So today we have our first guest. It's Another Day in Paradise, the podcast that I just started a few days ago. Actually, I recorded the introduction a few days ago, and I have the honor to have my friend with me here, Reda. So,
Thank you very much.
do you want to introduce yourself, or do you want me to do it?
Yeah, you can do it. I don't mind.
That's fine. Okay. So actually, I met you. How much time ago?
It was probably 2 years ago.
2 years
Yeah,
ago.
yeah.
So I met you 2 years ago in the soccer, right? In the soccer team.
Yeah.
Who brought you in soccer? I
It's
forgot.
my cousin Salim.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
So we have a small soccer league, and we play every. We used to play. Once a week, and then we started
went
playing
to
like
three times a week.
3 times a week
At some point. Yeah.
It's fun. So we met there, and actually, Reda, you are almost in the same field as I am, which is the design, graphic design.
Like we
etc.
have a very similar parkour. So
And
from design to tech to and basically all the things that are in between.
related to that, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. You, I don't know, we haven't had the opportunity to talk that much about where you grew up and where you lived, etc. I know you lived in South Africa.
Yeah, South
You
Africa.
also
so
lived in Algeria,
Algeria as
and
well.
then in Switzerland, and finally in Canada, and then you came back to Morocco, right?
Yeah, there's like 2 or 3 countries
Two
more,
other
but
countries in between.
yeah, I started actually. I was born in Switzerland.
Okay.
Then from age 2 to 4, I was in Brussels, Belgium.
Mm-hmm.
Then moved to South Africa for 7 years,
Oh.
and after South Africa, 1 year in Morocco, 5 years in Algiers, 2 years back in Morocco where I had my high school diploma. Then I went to study in Montreal,
Oh, okay.
Canada. Then from Montreal, I went to Switzerland
Okay.
and stayed there for almost 5 years,
Okay.
for 5 years, and then went a year and a half to Portugal.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, to Lisbon, and then came back here. It was like end 2017.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. So,
so-
not long after we met, actually. So
Yeah,
you-
like probably 6 months after
After you came back,
After I came
we
back, I
met.
started
Wow,
playing
okay.
soccer with you guys.
Alright,
Yeah,
cool,
yeah, yeah.
cool. So that's actually pretty cool. So the
Yeah.
obvious question is, how come you travel so often? But I kind of know the reason. But
Yeah, well, since I traveled since I was a kid, I'm guessing until I moved to Canada, it was it was my father's job. He's a diplomat, so every 3-4 years they're moving.
yeah, they're moving them around, etc.
Yeah, exactly.
etc.
So, but after that, I guess I kind of kept that same. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I kept that same, like love to like discover new places.
Yeah.
Because once you have that, you kind of, as much as you don't feel home anywhere, you kind of like become addicted to that discovery. That's your
aspect
home.
of it.
It's like, I'm guessing every time I come to a point where I kind of start having a routine life, I kind of start thinking of moving elsewhere.
Okay.
But,
Interesting. Is it the case here? Because now you live in Rabat. Morocco.
Well, it is. The only thing that's keeping me a bit more focused here is the opportunities that I think are exist in our country. You know, like I like to think that because we're still a developing country, we're
Yeah.
kind of like living in the past. Like 3 years from countries like the US or Europe or
I would
anything.
say
So
even
you
more,
kind
maybe
of
like 10 more
like it
years,
depends
10
of the
years,
field,
yeah.
obviously.
Obviously, yeah.
But it's a blessing in disguise because basically you have the power to foresee the future.
Yeah, yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
so I'm
Absolutely.
thinking here you don't need to come up with crazy ideas
Yeah, you
or
just
stuff
have
like
to
that. You just
execute the
need
good ideas that you've
exactly.
seen
So
out there.
like
Yeah,
the
yeah,
work is
yeah.
already pre-done for you, and I believe that the future is in Africa. So and Morocco is the perfect gateway for that. So
Mm.
like and if I'm talking more long term, I think that the long term plan is to like do stuff from here mostly.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll move to another country like just for quality of life because we can work remote. But I'm thinking if I need to settle somewhere,
Hmm.
which I hope I will, because at some point you need to start.
Yeah, yeah. You need to call someplace home. Right.
Exactly,
Mm.
and we're arriving to that age where you start thinking of settling, having a family,
Yeah,
all of
yeah,
that.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
so I think Morocco is good.
Interesting. Yeah, it's. I think it's a good alternative. Like myself, I lived. I was born obviously in Rabat. I mean, not
Hmm.
obviously, but I was born in Rabat, and then at age 5, we moved to a small city called Meknes,
Hmm.
and after that, I lived most of my life in Meknes, and then at 19, after my high school degree. Don't ask me why I got it at 19, but
Don't
it's a
worry.
long story. I just loved high school so much. I stayed there a
Same
couple
here,
more
man.
years.
Same here.
All right.
Don't worry about that.
So I moved to the US,
Hmm.
and it's an interesting thing for people who move around because I lived 12 years in the US. I lived on
Yeah.
the East Coast in Providence, Rhode Island,
Hmm.
and it's very interesting because now that I'm back, I've been back to Morocco for like 5-6 years,
Yeah.
and it's interesting because you are kind of stuck in between. It's like I don't feel 100% home in Morocco, but I also never felt 100% home in the US. And I
Yeah.
guess home is where your friends are, where your family is. But then if you have your family moving around too, I have two brothers who lived in Spain. I have a brother who lived in the US. So I only had
Exactly.
my
Yeah.
parents here. So it's hard to get all your family together in one
Yeah,
city.
and even your friends and stuff, they're spread out
Exactly, they're spread
everywhere.
out. Yeah,
So
yeah. But which
yeah.
which country? I know we've had this discussion before, but I discovered that you lived also in a few other countries like Belgium and
Hmm.
etc. But which country? I know. I remember you telling me that Portugal
Yeah.
was one of the best city you lived in.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. For a very simple reason, which isn't obvious when you're there, but when I kind of came back and tried to analyze why I felt so good there,
Mm.
is that I liked Montreal. Montreal is a very like cosmopolitan
Yeah, yeah,
city,
yeah. It's a
like
great city. I visited
because
there.
Europe. I never lived in the U.S., but I think it's kind of similar. You kind of feel that Uh, you're not home. Like
So
you're a
you
foreigner.
compare in Europe to the US?
Yeah,
I
like
would compare it to Canada more.
but Canada, like it has a lot more. Like in the city that I lived in, which is Montreal, it's really like there's so many different
Yeah, yeah,
communities,
different
ethnicities,
cultures,
and
etc.
everything, and they
Absolutely.
live very well together. So you don't feel like if you tell me did I ever meet a real Canadian, I need to think about it.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah, yeah. That's true. Okay.
the definition of what's a Canadian, you
Yeah,
don't have that stereotype. Okay, he looks like
a
this,
typical
or
Canadian.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, but you never really feel home. In Europe, for instance, you always feel like I guess it comes from the history that they have with like immigration and stuff like that. But in Portugal, what I loved about it was that it was the place that kind of had that that was evolved enough. Like it's still Europe, like everything is working a certain way. Like you don't have surprises. Like here,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
kind of freestyle life
Yeah,
to
yeah,
a
that's
certain
true.
extent. But it was the place that was the closest that I found in terms of people and stuff like that to Morocco. So it was like basically it was Morocco minus kind of a few things that are harder to
Yeah,
manage
like
here.
negative things.
Exactly.
Morocco.
So
Okay.
that's I think ironically it's the place that was the closest to
Yeah.
what I consider home at the end, which was the only constant I had throughout my life in terms of countries, which is Morocco.
Interesting, interesting.
Yeah.
Because for people who don't know, Algeria and Morocco are, for many people, they consider them like very similar countries. We speak the same dialect. which is very rare,
Yeah.
like almost the same dialect,
yeah.
which is rare. For example, when I used to live in the US, some people used to say, like my friends, "Oh, Jawad, you live in you speak French? Oh my God, my friend speaks French." Or, "Oh, you speak Arabic? My friend speaks Arabic. Come, let's talk to him." And then they don't really realize that an Egyptian and a Moroccan,
it's
although
light
we
years
both
away.
call it like
Yeah, light
Arabic,
years
it's
away.
not the same dialect
No,
at
no,
all.
at
He
all.
would not understand
At
what I'm
all.
saying, and I would not. I would, because we've been influenced by Egyptian movies, etc. But I would barely understand what he says. But he has no chance of understanding
Of
my
course.
dialect. So Algeria and Morocco are very similar because we are. First of all, our countries are next to each other, and also we have the same culture, Berbers, etc. And we share the Sahara. We
had
share the
kind
same
of like
culture.
the same history.
Yeah, the
as
same
well,
history. We were
with
both
France
colonized by
and
France.
stuff.
We
Yeah,
were
yeah,
both, although they had it a lot
Of course.
harder. But
Yeah,
let's
yeah.
not go there because this is a whole other subject
Yeah,
in its
yeah.
own. But
Which is subject.
but yeah, and so did you feel a connection with Algeria, or was it because let's be honest, Algeria is in a much tougher spot economically than Morocco.
Yeah.
Although they have a lot more money,
Yeah.
they live in a
Of course.
much worse conditions. Okay.
Of course. I would say that the main difference between the two
Mm.
is that we kind of kept ourselves opened. That's just my interpretation. Of course, I'm not saying that's the case or anything, but I think we kept a more open mind to like the post-colonial in terms of our relationship with those countries, like
With Europe,
with
et cetera.
Europe and
Yeah,
stuff
yeah,
like that,
yeah.
where we kind of like, okay, you guys went out, but you're still a good example on some levels. Some
Yeah.
levels you're the worst example, but
For sure.
you know.
Sure. But we
But
made the
still-
best out of
think
it, I
that
think.
we
Yeah.
still kept that openness. And the second major thing is terrorism. Like
Yeah.
they had in the in the early 90s, they had like or 80s to 90s, they
Yeah.
had like 10 years that they called the Black Years.
Yeah.
In
Many
Algeria,
waves
which,
of terrorism
that
and
like so it was like like roadblocks with
like fake
disguised-
roadblocks.
fake
Yeah.
roadblocks,
That's
stuff like
crazy.
that. So there's a lot of things that
Yeah.
have been we didn't have the same way.
Yeah, the level of insecurity of security or insecurity in Algeria, we have
Yeah.
never lived anything like that. Like they had.
Yeah, they had like a
they had a very
it
bad
really
time.
tough.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of stopped them. They had a relationship with communism as well
Yeah,
in
yeah,
terms
yeah,
of
yeah,
politics and stuff.
With Cuba,
So there was
yeah.
a lot of things that kind of like made them slow down. But you know what's funny? You grew up in Meknes. I think the closest thing that we had in Morocco that resembles to Algeria from my experience was Meknes.
Really?
Yeah, like and Meknes, that it has a history of being a bit abandoned at some point.
Yeah, absolutely,
So
absolutely.
I think it's kind of the same
okay,
pattern.
the same
that
feel. Okay,
I
okay.
think.
All right, interesting. But did you feel like a strong connection there? Did you feel like you were almost like in, like for some cities? Which city did you go to?
Visit
Algiers,
or
did you
or
live?
No,
Algiers.
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 Yeah.
So the capital city.
Yeah, the
So it
capital
must have
city.
been pretty decent.
It is, but it's first of all like architecture and stuff. It was France. So
Yes,
what you
exactly.
See in,
Colonial France, absolutely.
Cities like Marseille or even some neighborhoods in Paris.
Yeah.
It looks the same. Not like those old buildings. So it's a very beautiful city. It's a coastal city. It had that kind of. But in terms of services, like life in general, it was very limited.
Okay.
So, for instance, it's the only country where my parents used to give me like pocket money to do stuff, which was very low. Like they didn't give me like a lot of pocket money. Like compared to Morocco, I would say they gave me like 20 dirhams per week or something.
So roughly
that.
like $2. Okay.
Yeah, $2. So, and I didn't I had trouble spending it.
Really?
Yeah, like what would I buy? The only thing that I used to buy there was like video, like fake, engraved
CDs, etc.
CDs and stuff like that, video games. But that's the thing. The consumption of goods there first of all, like you don't find much things. I'm guessing from the time I was there, probably evolved
So you were
a bit.
there. You were there like in the late 80s.
No.
No, late like early
No,
90s.
I
maybe.
was from 2001
Oh,
to
okay.
2006.
Okay, so it's not that far off. Okay.
Yeah, no, it's not that far off, but it's still like
Okay,
almost
yeah,
20
yeah,
years
yeah.
ago.
Of course,
You
no, of
know,
course,
you're
and
getting old enough.
but I am
Don't
indeed.
forget that.
But so you went to school there, right?
Yeah, I went to
Primary school, and how was
No, I
school over
was
there?
like a college, so
College,
it's
okay.
like
Like how old were you? Like 12, 13?
from 11 to 16.
Okay, okay,
You know, like
okay.
so my teenage years mostly like
You spent them
I
there.
spent them there.
So tell me about school. Did you go to the public school? Did you go to private school? Did you go to?
So when I arrived, there was only the public school, but their public school there kind of had like a French section.
Okay.
So what my parents did was I was homeschooled with the CNED,
Okay. Okay.
but I still went to school to kind of to the public school that wasn't recognized or for some reason. But I still went to school to kind of have a social life, you know, and stuff like that.
To feel like a normal kid who goes
Exactly.
to school.
So
Okay.
what I used to do was go to school, come back from school, go to school, at
Go
home.
to another school at
You know,
home.
so what was cool is that they
Interesting.
didn't care about the grades I had in the public school. So if I had like this big test tomorrow and I was tired, I just didn't work for it. But but I was a good student, so you know, like I managed to do so. And when I was like my last 2 years, the French the French school opened. So I spent the last 2 years in the French school. So I stopped being doing the homeschool part
Okay. Okay.
as well. And
And South Africa was before or after?
no, South Africa was before.
Okay.
South Africa, they had the French school. So in terms of school,
So you
it
went
was,
to a French
cool,
private school.
Yeah.
I heard when I hear about South Africa, I hear it's obviously a lot of people don't know that,
Yeah.
but it's a pretty rich country. Algeria is also a rich country. They have a lot of oil, but the way they manage it is a little bit
Yeah.
maybe.
Well, I think that rich is not like the definition.
It doesn't really
Yeah,
reflect
exactly.
on
Like,
what you see in
because
in
Algeria is
real
a rich
life.
country.
Yeah, it
like,
is a
they
rich
paid
country.
all
That's what I'm
their-
saying.
They don't have zero.
They have zero debt,
stuff
which is
like that,
crazy.
which
Yeah,
is,
yeah, yeah. If
amazing.
you imagine, the United States has so much debt, like to China, etc.
Yeah, of course.
So Algeria is one of the rare countries that has zero
Yeah,
debt.
yeah, yeah.
So, but the way the quality of life there is obviously not comparable to America, not even to Morocco.
But that was
so.
the craziest thing when I was in South Africa. Everyone I talked to, from the people that were highly educated to like kids and stuff like that, they all thought that South Africa was the jungle. You know, like I remember when I came to Morocco to the French school here, and I said I was from South Africa. Like I could tell them any stories, they would believe me. Like I used to tell them, you know, you see Tarzan when he gets on that.
That's my uncle.
I went to school that way. They were like, oh yeah. Sometimes I couldn't play in my backyard because the lions were there. Okay, you know, like they thought. Whereas at that point. South Africa was so advanced, like even more advanced than Europe. Like it was crazy, like how beautiful the country it was. Like they had all those American brands, English brands, stuff way before they even exported themselves in Europe and stuff like that.
Interesting.
It was really like a very advanced country. The only downfall of that country was and still is, I'm guessing, the security part.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Because like for 7 years, I never walked in the street.
That's crazy.
Like there's no like I'm gonna go to the store, walk in the street. Like every time I got out of my house to a place, it was you went from point A to point B by car. Never
So interesting.
walked.
So
Yeah.
your dad is a diplomat. Do you think it's because your dad is a
No.
diplomat, or do you think
No.
you wouldn't have done it even if your dad was working
No,
at the post
like
office?
at that point, it was the security was at first of all, we were there from 91 to 99. '91 was the end of the apartheid.
Yeah.
It was
So
like a very massive
unstable.
stuff, like a first black president in a while. I'm guessing, I don't know the whole history, but like there was Nelson Mandela that became president.
Yeah.
There was a lot of tension, like in the country and everything. And at that point, there was a neighborhood called Soweto.
Yeah. Okay.
And that neighborhood, just to give you an idea, like your life expectancy to live when you're not from that neighborhood of life,
It's much
right?
lower.
It's 6 hours.
No way.
6 hours. And which is
That's crazy.
Like
That's
it's crazy.
amazing.
And to give you an example, we had this kid that was a Moroccan kid that got stabbed by. He was a kid, like 11-year-old kid or 12 years old. He got stabbed with a knife to get his bike by a
No
man.
way. That's crazy.
Like, I'm talking to you about a man who could just push the kid
yeah,
away
exactly,
and
and
take the
just take his
He
bike, or
stabbed
just
him.
take his bike. The
Like,
kid wouldn't do
exactly,
anything. Yeah.
like he stabbed him.
That's
The
crazy.
kid almost died. That was the level of violence that was there.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
it
I
was
see.
every day you hear this. Like my father used to tell me, like at that time of the apartheid, like when Nelson Mandela got elected, he used to drive. He drove around the city and he saw a lot of bodies, like laying,
Really?
like it was another level.
Yeah,
of violence
yeah,
there,
yeah,
like
yeah.
it's not your everyday.
So your father used to work. Did your father have like any kind of security with him or
In South Africa?
yeah, in South
No.
Africa? No. He
No.
would just like
We had like our house was had this alarm system that was,
Okay.
and basically at the head of every street there was like a cop car that's of
okay,
that company.
patrolling
So,
the area.
so every time the
etc.
alarm comes, there's a guy with a
With
gun,
yeah,
and
with the
stuff
gun,
that comes to
etc.
your house.
And you
and stuff
used to
like
live
that.
in a closed compound, right? Like it's not like
No,
accessible
it
to
was
anybody.
it was a neighborhood.
Okay.
Like
the whole neighborhood was kind of like safe.
No,
and surveilled
we
by
still had
patrol
for
cars.
instance, we had break-ins.
Yeah, I'm
we
sure,
had
I'm
stuff
sure.
like that. So, but it's not like in certain countries, like I think Kenya and stuff like that. It's really like
Brazil, where they have like,
compounds, where you have basically a small city within that compound, and you don't need to go out to do. No, this was a normal neighborhood, but. I was a kid back then. I didn't realize that much that it was normal, like to do certain things or to. But
Interesting.
you
Because
know,
I
like
know in South Africa they have like compounds. I saw a documentary a long time ago. They have like compounds for white people, and they even have their own money system. So the reason why they have their money, so some people say, oh, it's like segregation all over again, it's racist, etc., etc. So, who am I to I don't really know that much about it, but the reason why they had their own money is if somebody from outside comes and jumps them and takes their money, it's not good because they would only be able to use it in that compound. So it's kind of smart, but
it makes sense in a way. But like I don't know. I've never heard of this stuff. I heard it for like islands, like in the Caribbean and stuff.
Yeah,
like that, for
yeah.
rich
They have
people
that too.
kind of
Absolutely,
do it.
absolutely.
But like it was. I didn't live it, but I'm sure that wasn't an easy country to live in.
I'm sure.
Like for my parents, for instance, I'm guessing that every time that we were out somewhere and stuff like that, we didn't realize it. We go to the mall, we go to this. Like there was, first of all, there was guns. Like
visible guns everywhere.
Like there's like people have guns. Which, for instance, in Morocco we don't have. Like the worst security hazard that we can have is a guy
knife.
with a knife.
That's the worst that can happen.
There was like hostage,
hostage situations,
situations in supermarkets sometimes. So I'm guessing as a parent, your kid tells you, I'm gonna go to the movies, and you're like, okay or no, like. It's a big responsibility, and you don't sleep like he's in the movie.
That's okay. That's true.
It's something that's funny because never realized. I never felt for a second threatened or not insecurity in South Africa.
That's interesting.
Which probably if you take me there now,
Yeah,
probably
you would
won't be the
freak
same,
out.
you know,
Exactly.
like
Because now you know what's going on around
exactly.
you. Yeah.
So
And how about
ignorance
Algeria?
is a
It's a
bliss.
bliss, absolutely. And how
Yeah.
about Algeria? Did you feel insecure in Algeria?
No,
No, not really.
no.
Because,
I've had a lot of situations that were like
wiry,
like
dangerous a little
big
bit.
situations, but never felt not insecure. Like as much as in Morocco.
As much as anywhere.
You know, like,
as much as anywhere,
yeah.
Like that's...
But we had situations where, like, while I was there, we had like bombs going off in some places, cops being shot in some places, stuff like that. Like one of the cops that was actually in front of our home was shot once. Yeah, because they shoot them to take their guns.
Oh, okay.
So,
Okay. All right.
but
Interesting.
what was the funniest part in Algeria was, you know how Morocco and Algeria have this relationship.
Yeah,
of,
yeah. It's love and hate relationship.
yeah, but it's crazy how much on my side, like, might make enemies tonight. But
Okay, well,
Moroccans don't like Algerians more than Algerians don't like Moroccans. Like, when I was in Morocco, in Algeria, like, it was a good thing to be Moroccan, you know, like it was a positive thing.
So
like, people
what are
really
you
showed
saying?
me love. Like it was a like you know how we think all Algerians don't like Moroccans or stuff like that.
I don't know if I agree with you. To be 100% honest, I think there is this kind of rivalry between Morocco and Algeria, but deep inside, and I think even on the surface, Algerian and Moroccans don't really have a problem with each other as much as the governments have problems with each other.
Of course,
Like
of course.
I talk to Algerians in my line of work. I talk to Algerians as friends, and you know what's very humbling is that when Algerians, they say openly, and it must be hard to say that, oh yeah, Morocco is so much nicer than Algeria. It must hurt to say
Yeah,
that,
but
that shows, that makes
need
you really
to-
humble.
There's one thing that is a major differentiator, is that while I was there, frontiers were closed.
Oh, okay.
When they opened the frontier, a lot of things changed.
Okay.
Because, like, first of all, they started, when I was there, like, what they learned when I was in public school, the things I heard, like the situation in Morocco, economically, this. I was like,
Yeah,
Bro,
you didn't recognize it.
never happened. What are you saying? You know, like, they don't have water, they don't have this.
They
don't
make
have
stuff
that.
up, of course,
Like,
because that's what they are fed by the media.
Exactly.
That's
so,
the thing.
But I was very surprised, especially as kids. You know, like, when you're a kid, you kind of have that raw sentiment that comes out. Not like here, you tell a kid, like, you're Algerian or this, at least at some point, it's almost on the defensive side. You know?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I feel that on that level, of course, when you grow up, you kind of understand that it's we're just people. And
Exactly.
there's no reason
Of course.
to hate. But I was very surprised of the love that I received while I was there, except for one day, which is the day Morocco beat them in soccer 3-1. And it's the only time I got
Bullied a little bit.
not bullied. I got took out of class and and the principal told me to come see him because I came to the school the next day wearing the Moroccan shirt.
Oh, okay. So you were like
So
teasing
I
a
was
little bit.
teasing, yeah.
Okay.
And he told me, like, you can do this, and because it was a French school and they're like, it was like crazy security. The school had the bunker, you know, like
Okay.
it was war. He was like, if I let you get out of here, I can't guarantee your security. You need
come
to
on.
change the
Just
stuff.
relax. Take a breather, man. What are you talking about?
But that was the only day I've been hated on for 5 years.
Well, I'm
You know?
sure if you go to France and you
Of
wear
course.
an OM, which is Olympique de Marseille shirt in Paris, you would
Yeah.
receive the same hate. And if you wear a PSG, Paris Saint-Germain shirt in the streets of Marseille, you would receive a little bit of hate. I think it would be almost the same thing, like pretty much everywhere. There is this rivalry, like this rivalry.
Of course.
And the one thing that I found interesting is there is a country that I kind of want to go to, but then I don't want to go to because it's Brazil. Many people say, "Oh, Brazil is good." We hear about the beaches; it's nice. But again, the security thing is a deal breaker for me. If I go there and I have to stress walking around in the street, then it's a deal breaker.
And
for
you
me.
know what's crazy about it is that it's not far fetched.
Yeah,
You know, like it's things that like last year one of my closest friends went to Brazil. And I was like, I told him like, yeah, be careful when you're there and stuff like that. He was like, come on, man, it's you're gonna, you know him, Redi. He played soccer with us.
Yeah.
And he was like, no, man, come on, are you really gonna believe what everyone's saying and blah blah blah? Okay, there are security issues, blah blah blah, but come on. He got there, and he called me like. Maybe 12 hours in or something like that. And it was funny because the first thing I told him, like I picked up the phone and
Did you get jumped?
No, I told him, do you need me to pay to pay something? Like, are you kidnapped or something? And he tells me, man, I was sleeping in my hotel room and they stole the whole safe from his room while he was sleeping.
That's crazy, man.
With like he put everything in the safe. They didn't open the safe. They stole the safe.
The whole safe, yeah.
And it was like, and nothing to do. He wants to see like the hotel security. Man, we don't know.
And you have like a language barrier,
like
which makes it harder.
12 hours.
That's crazy.
I'm talking to you.
That's
like,
crazy.
It's crazy, but I think it's kind of like those countries when you go to them. You needed to take that into account and just like you know, of course, if you're
just live in
walking,
your own
near
lifestyle,
the favelas, taking your iPhone 12 out and taking pictures.
Exactly.
And, oh, it's nice.
You know,
you're gonna get jumped.
They told me one thing. They told me that sometimes when you go to a hotel, the hotel manager or the hotel guys who work there, they would tell you, okay, this is the area where you can go. After 7, you cannot go anywhere here, and never go in this area. And at night, if you are driving, don't worry about the red lights. Just burn them. Keep going. Keep going. You got to fly by. You never stop your car at night. And I said, really? Like, who would want to go to a I mean, it looks like a beautiful country. I'm sure the people are great. But like, I wouldn't want to do that. So sometimes when I used to live in the US, some of my friends and the people I knew, I used to have a cafe. Shout out to Teen Sahara. And if you go to Providence, go to Teen Sahara. It's on the house. No, I'm just kidding. You will pay for it, but it's a pretty cool coffee.
It's expensive.
It's not that much. It's not that much. It's pretty cool. So they used to say, "Oh, I want to go to Morocco. Is it safe?" Interesting question. Is it safe? Okay.
Depends on your standards.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like you said, if you walk around the Medina with the latest iPhone 12 and you carelessly walk around with something very expensive, of course, you might get jumped. But if you are a minimum
today,
careful, no, they will not get jumped.
They will be like maybe get, you know, like some pickpockets or
although like now the situation with the phones is different because nobody would really steal your phone because it's very hard to crack the code, etc., etc. It's a little bit safer.
But you know, those countries that have the like, I really believe that security is one thing, but they're still so worth it, even with that threat of security.
What do you mean?
I don't know, like if it's anything like South Africa or you know, those countries that kind of have, like, you know, not a lot of countries have it all. Have the culinary,
the culture,
history,
the education,
culture,
of course,
the like diversity in terms of landscapes. You know, like not a lot of countries, and there you have like so much stuff, man. Like
Canada is pretty close,
and Canada,
Canada is
you know,
is
like
cool.
It's cool, but it's not like the craziest thing in terms of culture or.
Of course, like you said, you cannot have it all. But
but
in terms of security, this is the safest country I've been to by far. By far, like I had a friend who spent the whole night with us.
There's one country I think that's, and those are the countries that things work so straight that, like. and like the security is not even an issue. It's like Switzerland or Canada.
Yeah.
But you know, like it's kind of dull in
Yeah,
terms
that-
of history. Or you go to Canada,
You
what
got-
are you
yeah,
gonna eat?
yeah. In
You're gonna
Switzerland,
eat
it's not,
like
is
you're
it?
gonna eat Chinese. You're gonna eat
Yeah,
stuff,
yeah,
you
yeah,
know?
yeah.
You're not gonna
but-
discover stuff you're as much.
Mm.
But like South Africa, the things I saw there,
Yeah.
and I traveled
Tremendous.
in a lot of places, never seen like anything like it.
I mean, historically, it's hard to beat
Morocco,
Europe.
man.
Morocco is very rich.
mind blowing.
Hmm.
Like I've been in Morocco like every summer at least since I can remember.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I discovered Morocco when I had friends from other countries come
That's
to Morocco,
true.
and they're the
It
ones
always
saying, "Oh,
happens
you
that
should
way."
go to this beach. It's so cool. You should go to this place. It's so cool." Never heard of it. Okay, and I become the tourist with them, and man, Morocco, man.
Oh, it's beautiful. It's beautiful.
Like you can see mountains, snow, deserts, beaches.
For sure.
This in a 2-3 hour
yeah,
drive
yeah.
each time.
You don't even need to jump
Like,
on a plane. You can just
it's-
take your car
it's
and
just
travel.
crazy.
Yeah, that's
so
true. But even when I used to live in the US, when my parents came, is the time where I used to play tourist a little bit. Because
Like
like for
within the
example,
US?
yeah,
Yeah,
for
yeah.
example, I've been to New York many, many times to visit my friends, to just spend time in New York. But with my parents, first time I visited the Statue of Liberty. I've been to New York like dozens of times, but I've
That's
never been
crazy,
to the
man.
Statue of Liberty. I've never been to, I don't know, like, you know, the touristy
No,
things that
there's-
people
it's
do.
crazy.
But,
It's crazy.
that's,
Like I always take, for example, Paris.
Hmm.
I've been to Paris several times. I have a lot of friends there. I'm not a big fan of that city, to be honest. But I go there often because that's where most of my friends are.
Yeah.
You know. Never went to the Eiffel Tower. Never went
I've
to
seen
the
it
Louvre.
once actually, which
Never
is
went to
crazy.
the
That's
Louvre.
true.
Never
I've been
went
to the
to
Louvre once too.
All these things never done.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I go to
yeah.
Paris. I'm like, okay. I go to this apartment, this restaurant.
Exactly.
Come back.
Exactly.
That's it.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah. It's
And,
a different thing to live there and to visit
and
this place.
and when you go there often, you think that it's not that big of a deal. You know, like I know Paris.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
like
you
it's
take
okay.
it for granted. That's
Exactly,
yeah,
and
yeah.
that's the thing that I've been doing all my life with Morocco.
Yeah, that's
Like
true.
my parents used to tell me, "Oh, we're gonna go to this place, see the I don't know what," and I'm like, another place where it's hot and I have and I have nothing to do. Let me chill at my grandparents. Do your thing,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah, yeah.
And then, like when I started growing up, doing my own plans, you know, having friends over
Yeah.
and stuff. Man, I've seen things like
Yeah.
last year. I've done like a road trip where I went to the north, from the north to Dakhla. So
Wow. Okay.
all
So you
of,
traveled all over
like-
the place. Yeah. Okay.
and the things I saw, man, beaches that like from the Caribbean, you know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's
That's true. That's
Crazy
true.
stuff, like.
You
We're
know
so
that
lucky, man,
that's
you know?
true. That's true. And when you have tourist friends from overseas, they actually show you your country because they
'Cause
look
they're-
online. They see
Exactly.
they check
You
out
don't-
some stuff
you
online.
don't
Yeah.
do that.
You
those
would never
things.
do
Like,
research online about your own
exactly,
country.
like,
And I'm sure even in Rabat, we live in Rabat. I'm sure there are some places we have never been to. And
course.
one of your friends is gonna come and say, "Oh, guys, I heard about the Bab something. All right, let's go check it out." Oh my god,
yeah,
that's pretty cool.
the new museum.
Yeah.
I went to it the first time. It was last year, just before the confinement.
Yeah.
It was like a friend of my brother's, I think, or something like that. That came from I don't know which country, and it was like, "Oh, I want to do something in Rabat." And we're like, "There's nothing to do, you know. Like, if you want to go out, eat something, I don't know." And she was like, "Oh, I heard this amazing museum," and I was like, "Okay, let's go." Went there, amazing.
Pretty
You know,
cool.
like,
pretty cool. Yeah,
there's a lot of things that we take so much for granted.
Yeah, for sure, for
and
sure. For sure.
I don't
But,
know. Me, I'm still enjoying. You told me if I think of moving, I'm still discovering my country, and I'm
places, yeah.
still like enjoying
yeah.
it. You know,
there is
like,
so much to discover, and you know, this confinement. Actually, last weekend, I visited the south of Morocco, Marrakesh, the region. I'm really in love with that part of Morocco. I don't know why. It's really, really hot, but I love the architecture. I love the color of the buildings. I love everything about it. And there is a town right next to it called Baburika. And it's a
Yeah.
valley. It's
Yeah, yeah.
beautiful. It's beautiful over there. And although it's very hot in Marrakesh, if you travel like
Yeah, but
this
still
town is like
worth it.
It's worth it,
Worth
and
it,
it's very dry,
100%.
so you don't sweat as much. Today we were joking around today because as we were setting everything up, we were like sweating like bullets, and because it's very humid in Rabat, and yeah, so
very
so
hot.
so yeah, it's this confinement has really been forcing us to go over some travel around our own country
Exactly,
and
yeah.
discover things that usually Moroccans, a lot of Moroccans, for people who don't know that, a lot of Moroccans typically they go on vacation, people who can afford it, and even people who don't really, but I will tell you why, because it's almost as expensive or as cheap to go travel with your family in Morocco than in Spain. So
Yeah.
many Moroccans every year sorry, you
Yeah,
will
they
find them
travel
in
abroad.
Andalusia, yeah,
But
especially
but
Spain,
not,
right?
Not even just the vacation. Like in general, we have that idea that the grass is greener
Exactly.
every single time.
Absolutely.
Like every single time, whatever you want to do, it's better elsewhere. And I always have this. I always argue with my friends that want to tell me, "Oh, why are you coming back to Morocco or this and that?" And I'm like, professionally, you are right 100%.
Oh, yeah,
Like
yeah.
it's hard to work here.
Yeah.
Like don't have the same standards, don't have the same stamina, don't
Yeah.
have the same tempo on many things.
Unless you work remotely, then it's really good.
Of course,
Because life is
and
less,
thank God
is a lot cheaper.
that's what I
and
do.
Yeah, that's
so
what I
I'm
do too.
very
So
happy
that's
with that.
that's perfect.
But you see what you lose, but you don't see what you gain.
absolutely, for sure.
What I gain, like the size of an apartment.
Yeah, that's true.
As simple as that. And we don't. And the worst part is that we don't see it the same way. Like we don't look at things with the same eyes because because we're in Paris, so like 30 square meters. Amazing. Man,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, it's your space, and like my bathroom is bigger than your apartment. What
That's
are you
the
talking
thing.
about?
That's the thing. Yeah.
Yeah, but this. So
Yeah.
like there's so many things, like the warmth of people
True.
around you, like one of the first things I loved the most coming here in Morocco was walking in the street and saying hello to people.
Yeah,
I
that's
always
very true.
do
Very
that, and
true.
it's always so weird that you say hello.
Yeah.
Everybody says hello back.
You go in a subway in Paris and everybody is like,
Man,
Going to a funeral or
man,
something.
my neighbor,
next door neighbor.
next door neighbor. Sometimes we were squeezed in that elevator.
Yeah. And
Together.
he doesn't even raise his eyes to say hi or like
and
nod
I'm
at
like,
you.
hello,
or
and
anything,
he's
yeah.
like, what?
That's true.
And here,
that's true.
it's friendly. Did you ever get your car broke down in Morocco?
Yeah, people help you. People help you without
You
even
have
asking
2
them
minutes,
for.
man.
Yeah,
You have 2
people
minutes.
start pushing your
it's
car. You didn't even
faster
ask
than
them.
AAA.
That's true. That's true.
All those stuff, like even like the idea of helping out with friends and stuff like that, like, oh, I need to go an hour and a half away to the airport, like it's an hour and a half drive. I guarantee you, I do
You will find
maximum
somebody
3
to-
phone calls.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna go there right now.
Yeah. And here is one big difference in this particular case.
Mhm.
In the United States, where I lived,
Yeah.
you could find somebody to take you, but you will literally have to pay him, even your friend. Like if it's an American friend, like he would say, like when I was there, some of my friends were like, hey, can you give me a ride? I'll give you gas money. And I thought it was a joke. Like, what do you mean you're gonna like?
I
You
know
think
that.
I'm a cab? No, I'll give you gas money.
Yeah.
Gas money for what? Like, what are you talking about, man? You crazy?
It's almost insulting to
It
say
is
this,
insulting
you know?
for us, but
You
for
know,
them,
but,
it's
uh,
like
it's normal,
Of course,
of
it's
course,
normal.
yeah,
we are
yeah,
both
yeah.
teenagers. I'll give you $5. It will help you out. It wouldn't
Of
fill up your
course.
gas.
And
So
it's kind of something that
it's not
loses-
good or bad. I mean,
No,
it's,
but,
it's just different. in
Let's
my
just say
opinion.
that we have kind of like an art, because every time somebody like does this for me or I do it for someone, there's this art of paying them back, but without saying, "Oh, I'm gonna give you gas money." Like you're putting in gas. No, it's okay. I got it. You know. Or,
exactly.
Or you stop to get food.
You'll pay for it, etc. Yeah, that's true.
No, there's that untalked rule behind it, and
it's more subtle than just
subtle.
like giving you cash.
Exactly.
Cash. It's
like,
very insulting to give people cash here.
And the worst I saw it was in Switzerland. One day, I was like, Switzerland is the country where everything works perfectly, but everyone handles his business. No one
nothing else.
And one day we had this coffee break, and we had those cards in our university where you can put it like your
to
student
pay for your
card.
Coffee, etc.
You can put money on and take coffee.
Okay, all right.
This guy tried to take a coffee, didn't have any more money, and I was like, okay, cool. He wasn't in my class, you know, like he was just the guy in front of me. I was like, it's okay, man. And I got it. I put my card, take my coffee, go. The guy, for a week, came every single day back
to look for you,
me, and tell me, can I repay you your coffee? Can I repay your coffee? Like he was becoming annoying, and we were talking about less than $1 here.
Exactly,
right?
Just relax.
And every single day, and I was like, bro, don't worry about it. Don't worry. No, I want to pay you. I want to pay you. And I want to pay you. Until the day where I came to that point where I told him, man, you know what? Pay me.
Yeah.
Give me my
because
my
it's becoming annoying
and
at that
stop
point.
annoying me every single time I want to take a break or something. There's this guy running to me.
You know, that's interesting.
And it's crazy, like how, like me with my friends or anything, you know, when one pays, when another pay and everything, you kind of like balance it out in your head. You know?
You
don't go like, okay,
you
he paid
39,
39, I'm gonna pay 29, so I need to buy the next thing of $10. But if I put 20,
or you pay for dinner this time, and he will pay for the next time.
You
like
know,
you don't
like
need. It doesn't have to be the exact same. Exactly.
You know, like
so that's very, very cool. And you know, I remember when I used to go to Starbucks, not to name any brands, but who's watching anyway, so that's fine.
You should name like two others.
Two others, but we are not that famous.
Tim Hortons and
Dunkin' Donuts. And I heard Dunkin' Donuts is opening here soon in Rabat, so that's pretty interesting, because I heard they opened a long time ago and it didn't work out in Casablanca, and then, but we'll see. But when I used to go with my friends, with my Moroccan friends, and also that's one thing that I want to talk to you about, because when I lived in the United States, most of my friends were Moroccans or foreigners than Americans. But anyways, so when we used to go there, they used to say, like, for example, it's we order, and then they say together or separate, and it always made me smile, because it would be almost like if I go with my brother and his best friend, or my best friend and my brother and another friend, if one of them says, oh, separate, it's almost like he turned around and spit on us. It would never, ever happen. Yeah. He would cut his arm and pay for it. Or he would pretend
because if you say separate, it's basically like
he insulted you.
It's almost like, it's like
I don't know this guy.
Cutting the
ties.
A link, you know. We come from a country where every single plate we eat together.
Exactly.
You don't have those individuals like you dig
the tagines, etc.
You know, like your bread touches the other
exactly.
bread.
That's
stuff,
true.
You know,
that's
like
true.
That's what we're used to. Yeah. So I guess it conditions us as well to kind of like sharing is important.
Absolutely. And to say together or separate, I say, imagine if one of you guys said, oh, separate. Like it's unconceivable, impossible.
It's, I don't know, like
interesting. But it's not good or bad. Honestly,
exactly.
I think it has a positive side, because sometimes you don't have a lot of money. Sometimes you're tight on money, and you are like 3 or 4 friends.
Definitely.
Hey guys,
and
I mean, we are at Starbucks. The drink is like $5.
Let's be honest. Like, there's people out there that like bank on you, like
big time.
Oh, you got this one.
When the bill comes, and it's never their turn. Like they always find a way to get paid for by somebody else. So the other thing I want to, and you know who you are.
You know who you are.
Yeah. So the other thing is, I know you lived in a few countries. I only lived in one other country besides mine, so the United States.
Yeah,
and
but it's kind of like a mashup of a lot of countries as well.
It is and it isn't.
Of little sides too.
True,
as well.
True. You know, I lived in a fairly small city. I mean, not that small, by Moroccan standard, but it was the capital of Rhode Island, and Rhode Island is ironically the smallest state in the United States.
Okay.
So, and I lived in Providence, which was the capital, and in that city there were like at least two big universities. There was an Ivy League school, Brown University,
Okay.
and there is also, ironically, Rhode Island School of Design. And if we have time, I will tell you about that.
Let me guess which one you went to.
Neither of those.
Okay.
I went to Johnson Wells, and then it was a little bit expensive. You know, Johnson Wells was actually a pretty good school, and it was famous for being a school for culinary. So every
Okay.
time I used to go there, they say, "Oh, you do culinary?" No, I do computer science. Oh, computer science? Okay. And then I'm like, why am I spending that much money not to do what this school is famous for? So I might as well go to any random school.
Yeah.
So I went to Rhode Island College, and it was a great experience. I love that school, and that school is actually pretty cool because Johnson and Wales had a lot of international students, and hence a lot of Moroccans for some reason.
Yeah.
Because one of the recruiter here had a connection with them and a business partnership with them, so he sent a lot of Moroccans there. So I ended up hanging out with a lot of Moroccans, and I'm like, wait a second. So I came all the way here to hang out with Moroccans. I'll have nothing against Moroccans, but I feel like I should get more
Yeah.
involved with the local culture.
Well, it's an opportunity that you're missing
Exactly.
at some point. Yeah.
That's true. So I moved to Rhode Island College, and Rhode Island College didn't even have an international student office because
Yeah.
they didn't have international students. They didn't have enough international students to have an office. So I remember we were like 4 or maybe 5. So we had somebody who called us once a year to tell us to participate to some BS things that I never participated to. But anyways, so I don't know where I was going with this, but yeah, help me out here. I'm not sure where I'm going with
You
this.
kind of lost me too a bit on that one, but
So how is life?
pretty good.
So
pretty
yeah,
good.
you know what I was gonna say is that
Since we have like a small pause, is there any water left?
yeah. All right. So like I was saying, no, I'm actually out. I can go get you some.
No, it's okay.
You sure?
Yeah.
We have like 10 more minutes and then we're
No
done.
worries. No
All right?
worries.
No worries.
We're good.
So now you're
they-
making me feel bad for drinking.
It's okay. It's okay.
So, like I said, I moved to Rhode Island College, and I met a lot of American kids, which was
Yeah.
great. And my English improved big time. And I know some friends who have been living, Moroccan friends who have been living in the United States much longer than I have. And their English is like they came yesterday. They're like, "Hey, my
Yeah,
friend,
but it's not
you
just the
eat,
language. Like it's the whole experience. Like you grow on so many levels when you're basically
yeah,
like
out of your element."
completely.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's where you grow. I was lucky enough in my experience to go to, like when I went to Canada, it wasn't like the big hype yet. So not a lot of Moroccans.
Because
like,
for people who don't know,
yeah,
in
yeah,
Montreal especially, there are a lot of
like,
Moroccans.
There's a lot
yeah.
of Moroccans going there, but that time where I went there, like there weren't that many, and since I didn't like spend. I always felt like I was not in like the same mindset as like when I came here my last year of high school. Like I had friends and everything, like but I knew that like I wasn't in the same mindset and stuff like that because like it was a particular kind of way. Like I felt that it was very materialistic.
Okay. Like where was it materialistic? Here in Morocco
here,
or
here in Morocco.
Okay.
Like especially like I don't know. It was maybe my perception, but you know what? The first question everybody asks you when
do you have the citizenship?
No, when you meet someone in Morocco. When I came to Morocco to my last year of high school, the first question they asked me before asking me my name is, "What does your father do?"
Oh, that's actually for people who don't know Morocco. This is a very
Like,
typical question. Yeah,
For someone that didn't grow up here,
yeah.
like I was like, "What do you mean?
Why does it matter?"
Like, or the other thing that was like crazy, they loved, like it was something that shocked me. Like they loved to look at the brand of your shirt and
Really?
stuff like that. Like,
Okay.
there was this. It was at that time where there was the big hype around the polo, the Ralph
Oh
Lauren
yeah,
polos
yeah,
and stuff,
yeah. And then they made it bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah, exactly.
No,
And-
you
and-
can ride the horse at that point. It was
Yeah,
so
at
big.
some point, like,
You could literally
yeah.
ride the horse.
and you know, like it was a big hype around
The
polo,
appearance, the brands,
but,
etc.
Is it
Is it a real one? Is it fake?
one?
Yeah.
No,
I
look,
remember that.
Your horse has his foot like this, not like this,
Exactly.
so it
the
means that-
Lacoste one,
And,
you know, was
yeah,
also.
and I
Oh,
was
his
like-
mouth is not supposed to
and
be open
on
that way.
level, I was so disconnected.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
like
yeah.
I was so disconnected. So, uh, what was cool about it is that when I went to study, I kind of lost that connection with my Moroccan, my high school Moroccan friends for quite some time. So all my friends were from everywhere in the world, like especially in Canada. Like I had Chinese friends, like different Arab, Lebanese friends, like.
But was it
Latino
hard to
friends
like
and stuff.
disconnect with them because like
No.
now you were just connected with them like via at that time maybe
No.
emails or
I was. It wasn't hard to disconnect with them because I felt like I didn't connect with them
to start with?
at a deep level.
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
Of course, I had like 2-3 friends that I still see today and everything. But most of my friends were more in Morocco. Were more friends I've made through vacations, and a bit later, friends that actually lived in my area, the area where my parents lived. So when I came back to Morocco for vacation, we used to play soccer together. We used to do like stuff together, go out, have drinks and stuff. And it has more of a sense of a family. Like as individuals, we're not that especially compatible. You know, like my friends today, we don't listen to the same musics. We don't have the same, you know, like. We're very different, but since like kind of like in a family, you know, your brother
like
is
cousins
not,
you see every year, once a year.
But
yeah.
there was this like this whole group that was like a healthy one, you know,
Yeah,
like where the bullshit was outside of that.
But
That's how
That's how you felt.
Yeah.
You know, that's interesting. It almost feels like I don't know if you have seen the movie Groundhog Day with
Which one?
Bill Murray. Groundhog Day in
No.
French, I think it was called Un jour sans fin. Groundhog Day is, you know, Bill Murray, is it Bill Murray? I think it's Bill Murray. So where he lived the same day over and over and over again. He was like a news reporter and he went, you know, Groundhog Day.
It's Groundhog Day?
Yeah, Groundhog Day, I'm
No.
sure. But anyway, so the problem of I think the idea is genius about the movie, and the movie is pretty cool. If you haven't watched it, I think it's in the early '90s, so you
Are
can
you a
find it very
producer on
easily.
that movie?
I'm not a producer,
Okay.
but I have a 1% that I'm really trying to
Yeah.
you know max out. But the situation of this movie is he lived the same day over and over again, and he was in love with one of the actress there who was also a reporter, and. The problem is he made a very strong connection with her,
Yeah.
but then the next day she forgot everything and he had to relive that day. So he couldn't
Yeah.
build up on the connection.
But why
And-
did it start again? Was it because he chose it, or he
no,
had
no,
it-
no.
had
He was
choice?
like kind of cursed.
Okay.
And so the fact that he could not build up a relationship, I mean, he took advantage of it. Obviously, he learned piano. So every day he learned piano, and every time he took this class, he said, "Oh, it's my
Oh,
first
so
day. It's
like
my
he
first day.
had-
It's my first day." So he
Yeah,
could build
yeah,
up his experience,
Yeah.
but he could not build up a relationship where the other person would remember him. So it's almost like the same thing. If you come every summer and you meet those friends. You kind of have to rebuild this connection again to be really close, and then by the end of the summer you have to go again, and then
That's where
it
it's
fades
funny,
away,
like,
right? No, or it doesn't.
In Morocco, my closest friends, like my closest friends that I have to this day, never lived in the same country as me.
Oh, interesting. So
Never.
you see them maybe once a year.
But you know, no, we see each other quite often because you know. We start managing. We're both. We were living abroad. Now I'm living here. But we, you know, when vacation time came, social media was there, so we kind of kept.
But do you arrange to meet physically
like,
or not really?
Yeah, like every vacation, like
Like every year?
every 2-3 months. Like
Really?
all those
Okay.
when you're a student, you have like every 3 months vacation. And you're like, okay, when are you going? Oh, I'm going the 16th. Okay, I'm
Yeah,
taking my
yeah.
ticket. So, and we lived in the same place.
Mhm.
Like our parents lived in.
Oh, okay, in the same
place.
area, so you were like
It
neighbors.
was really like some of them lived there,
Mm.
and you know, like, and that's where I feel that like there was that family connection because it was a place where you didn't need to call like or say, oh, do you want to meet?
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I just go down,
Yeah, yeah,
you know,
yeah.
and you find one guy
And
saying,
he calls the
"Oh,
other guy, and
the
he
other guy
had
is
he,
here, and
yeah.
the other guy is here, and that's something that I never had in my life. You know, like the neighborhood kind of it's things I saw in
Get
movies
closer
and
to the
stuff.
mic.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah, yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, no, that's fine. So yeah, I think I had almost the same thing with some friends who
Mhm.
actually lived in Canada,
Yeah.
and I remember we used to meet every summer in Morocco, and we used to spend the whole summer together. So we didn't really talk during the year, but like 1 month before summer, so what is your plane ticket dates? Okay, I'm on the
Yeah, you
27th,
start
me
planning
the
the
26th,
things out,
and then,
yeah.
okay, all right, so Youssef is coming this date, and Ahmed is coming that date. Okay, Mozart is coming that day. Okay, so we all get together.
You knew
and
Mozart?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, he's a
okay.
pretty cool guy. I will invite him. And yeah, we call him
Cool
Mozart
nickname.
not because he plays piano really well, which
Yeah.
he does kind of like piano, but we used to mock him because when we were young, we used to listen to, you know, the music at that time, Backstreet Boys, etc.
Yeah,
and
he
he used to
liked
listen to classical music, and
Yeah,
we
he
called
was,
him Mozart to make
He
fun
was
of him.
advanced.
Yeah, he was advanced. He was
Yeah.
ahead of everybody.
That's
but
the crazy thing.
yeah, so yeah, and so you lived in a few countries, and right now you think the best move for you is no pun intended, but the best move to you is to stay here, ironically, and to keep an open mind and work overseas and work remotely with the other countries and and stay here for now because it's a good balance.
Yeah, well,
Or do you think you are planning on going
it's
somewhere?
100% the best move long term.
Yeah.
Like, and by long term, I'm talking to you like not long term, like 5 years.
Yeah. Okay.
Like, as long as I'm not tied to anything,
Yeah.
I don't need to be stable.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
that's
yeah.
the great thing of my line of work, especially like as long as I have a laptop, working internet connection,
Yeah.
I can go to Timbuktu if I want to.
Exactly. Exactly.
So as long as I don't have any like ties, like invariable ties, like
Like a family, a baby, or whatever. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
stuff
of
like
course,
that.
Of course.
I'm lucky enough to be able to, you know, like if I want, like a friend of mine can be living in Madrid, tells me, hey, you want to come live 3 months here? I have an extra room. I'll be like, sure, let's do it. So the way I see it is that, of course, the confinement came at the best time, of course, but that's kind of like how I planned out a bit my life, like for the next 2-3 years. I thought to myself, like, it's an opportunity to, you know, like to move around and, you know, like test the waters here and there.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I went to Portugal out of, you know, like I had this guy I used to work with that became a very close friend, and we opened a business together, and he was half Portuguese, and he took me to Lisbon for the first time. Like for me, Lisbon, I was like, Lisbon is like Spain, but maybe a bit less like
Advanced, maybe?
advanced or something like that or whatever. I was mind blown. Nothing to do with Spain. I'm thinking like there are places that I would love to spend to kind of have the experience of living there, like for even 2 months, 3 months. I'd love to try London.
Yeah. Well, not me, but yeah.
Like
Go for it. Take it. It's yours.
I'll take it, man.
Take it.
Can
it's
you
yours.
imagine going like imagine
I'm
you
all
know?
set. Hey,
of course
no hard feelings for.
It's
but
expensive and everything.
It is expensive
But,
as hell. Yeah.
You know, like
It would be a good experience for sure.
I love football.
Oh well. Okay.
Like just for that,
Yeah.
I know my weekends are good.
Yeah. For sure. For sure.
I love the history of their music. You know,
Absolutely,
like
absolutely.
food is amazing. Of course,
Food is amazing. All right, I will debate you on this
food,
next
not
time.
English food is amazing.
Okay.
But the food offering
Yeah.
they have is
Indian
amazing.
food is amazing. Like international
No,
food
like,
is really good.
Like the number of good restaurants they have is amazing. in
Okay.
London. uh, other countries like Copenhagen, you know,
Yeah.
like,
I would love to live in the northern countries like Denmark,
see,
etc.
like,
Yeah, for sure.
Oslo,
Yeah.
stuff like that. Like, I think it was in Copenhagen.
Copenhagen
Yeah.
for the purists.
I have a friend of mine, like friends of mine went there, and they told me about this place within the city, which is the last anarchy in the world.
Okay.
So basically, you go to that place. There's like the law is like 3 rules, like don't kill, don't
Thou
steal.
shall not kill, thou shall
Yeah,
not steal.
like,
thou
like
shall-
you enter there and you do
Like the
whatever.
3 testaments.
You know, like it's like it's free for all. Like
Yeah,
it's something that's
interesting.
signed legally with the past.
Okay, so
I don't
they
know.
have very loose laws. Okay.
And you know, like it's something. I'm not telling you I want to live in that place where you can do whatever you want. But you know, like you want to open a business, you just open it. You do
Yeah,
this,
yeah,
you just
yeah,
do
yeah.
it.
I mean, the
And-
notion of freedom there is pretty
And
amazing.
I would love to experience it.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, there's so many things to experience, and it's like business. I always think when you don't have any responsibilities, you don't have any ties, you
Yeah.
don't have anything, you can sleep on a couch. You know, you
For
can
sure.
eat some rice for a while.
Absolutely.
It's
Absolutely.
cool. That's the time where you need to kind of
Yeah,
like
it's now or
experiment
never.
stuff.
Yeah.
Like
yeah, it's now
people
or
think
never.
I need to gain experience and stuff, which is a good strategy as well. I'm not
Absolutely.
saying the contrary, but for me, by the time I get the experience and stuff like that, I'll have responsibilities that
True.
I'm not sure I could take
True.
the same risks. you know?
Absolutely, absolutely. It's the right
And-
time to take risks, and
And
I,
risk is not just business; it's discovering other places.
Yeah.
You're not gonna go. Oh, I'm gonna discover Copenhagen for 3 months
Yeah.
with a 2-year-old. And,
yeah, exactly,
And
exactly.
your wife's job and
Yeah,
this and this
yeah,
and this
yeah,
and
on hold. Yeah, you know the one thing I would really want to do is I speak a little bit of Spanish, and I would love to like go to Spain. Me. Sí, señor
Sí, hablas
Torero.
un poco de español.
Hablas un poquito.
Sí.
Yeah. So I speak a little bit of Spanish, and because I took it in school, and I really love languages, and I obviously traveled like any good Moroccan. I traveled to Spain many times, and my brother lived in Spain for many years.
Quick question.
Yeah, sure.
Sorry to cut
Sure,
you off.
please. No,
Sorry. You went to Spain,
Yeah.
like many Moroccans.
Yeah.
How much of Spain did you see?
That's a good question. So I have
No?
obviously we travel by car, so you do get to see a little bit. But
Yeah.
you see just Andalusia. So I know Granada a little bit. I know Seville a little bit, and I know Fuengirola and the small cities next to it. Of course,
La Costa del Sol.
La Costa del Fiol Torero, and but I would love to like stay in Spain for maybe. I'm sure
Because that
if I
must
stay
be
6 months,
amazing. Like all
6
all
months
those
in
things,
Spain,
yeah.
you would learn Spanish, and that's a huge asset. So how many
Yeah.
languages do you speak? Do
Like,
you speak Portuguese?
I understand
Okay.
Portuguese.
And you can manage your way around
You know, like
Portuguese.
I'm not gonna write you an essay in Portuguese.
Like you
but,
wouldn't be able to do this podcast in Portuguese, or would
No.
you? No,
No,
but you would
maybe
be
not,
able to understand.
but
it.
I'll understand and I'll make myself, like kind of like Spanish. But my Spanish and Portuguese are
Kind of mixed.
maybe I'm a bit better in Spanish, but like
Oh, really? Okay.
I like Spanish. I understand everything because I watched La Casa de Papel, you know. But besides that, I speak English, French.
But
Obviously.
where did you learn Spanish?
Spanish? To be honest, like I learned like the premises
In
at
school.
school, you know. But
Just practice with like shows and friends,
like
etc.
the shows helped me out a lot,
Yeah.
especially the Colombian shows because
Okay.
like there was like Narcos, big player in my.
See, I tried to watch it in Spanish. It was a little bit too hard for
no,
me.
me
to follow.
me it was like I saw Casa de Papel and Casa de
Casa
Papel
de
was
Papel.
Casa de Papel.
Sí, señor.
And it was hard.
Yeah.
Spanish from Spain, like they eat up a lot of words
Yeah,
and
yeah,
stuff.
yeah,
It's hard.
They go a
The
little-
Colombian one was really
Yeah.
much more easier for me.
Yeah.
And I had this friend that loved it. Like he used to like.
He loved what?
He loved Narcos.
Okay,
so
he loved
much.
it. Okay,
yeah.
I heard he loved tits. I'm like, yeah, okay, cool friend.
Probably that's too.
I'm sure he does.
But,
Colombia is a good place to go there.
Yeah, definitely. And So, like he used to like always, learn the dialogues, monologues from that show.
Okay.
And he used to. We had that thing where we laughed, like we do those.
Yeah.
Those
You
voices
try
and stuff.
to.
And
Yeah. Okay.
weirdly, like it made me learn so much. Like I think for 10 seconds I can fake.
You can fake
I can fake it very well.
All right. So you speak French, obviously.
Yeah.
And French, you learned it in school. And
Yeah, school.
what language do you speak with your parents? Is it like any good Moroccan, like a mix between French and Arabic?
It's, I would say 10% Arabic and Moroccan Arabic.
Yeah.
I would say 50% French and 40% English.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
With your mom and your dad?
Yeah.
Which one of them is fluent in English, would you say?
Both.
Both of them.
Yeah.
Interesting. Cool.
Well, they lived.
Of course, I mean your
the
dad.
same life,
Yeah. That's
as
true.
I
They
did,
try.
you
They
know,
try.
like, so.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So French, Spanish,
Yeah.
So you would be able to do the podcast in what languages?
To be
comfortable.
to be really comfortable, like 100%. I would say French and English.
Yeah.
Moroccan, Arabic, I would, but I'll like if we start speaking about technical words or stuff like that, I'll have trouble. Yeah.
Okay.
I think
Interesting.
the other ones I can try it out.
Yeah. Well, we will.
I think my Spanish
we won't.
is equivalent to when people tell you they speak English here.
Exactly.
It's kind of the same.
Exactly. It's a quite funny story. But when I applied for a job back in the US, and we will finish with this. I know. Oh, that's not your watch you were looking at.
No.
Okay, nice bracelet, by the way.
Thank you.
So I applied to a job at Apple. And I don't know if you heard that story, right?
Yeah,
Because I did it in the other podcast, but I'm giving it back to you. So and the manager there, I took a series of tests. Everything was good. The interviews went really well, and then the last interview, I was like done. Okay, everybody was smiling. I thought that I had the job. I was very happy, and then I said, "Okay, I'm out of here." And he said, "Oh, we really love you, and the general manager of the East Coast is here to visit us, and he would love to meet you." I'm like, yeah, sure. I'm not going to say, no, I don't want to meet him. I'm out of here. So I said, yeah, sure, I'll meet him. And he came. Rob, if you see me, thank you so much. He was a really cool guy. And he came and he said, all right, so what's your name? Nice. And he was all smiles, etc. Nice, Jawad. Oh, nice. So he looked at my resume and he said, so right away. He said, so you speak Spanish, it says? Yeah, I'm like, it would be like effed up to like screw up at the last second with the interview, like in an interview that was not even supposed to happen. And I'm like, I speak also French. And he said, yeah, but Spanish, that's pretty cool because we have a lot of customers who speak Spanish.
Yeah,
I said, okay,
bad move.
Bad.
Right there.
It's like a small, tiny lie in a huge resume that was pretty good. So, and he said, Spanish, can you like have a basic conversation in Spanish or are you fluent in Spanish? I said, to be honest, I'm okay. I can have basic conversations. He said, okay, all right. Spanish, very good. Spanish, I love Spanish. And I said, if you, so there was like 2 or 3 seconds of silence, which seemed to me like forever. And I said, if you want, we can finish this conversation in Spanish. And he said, no, I don't speak Spanish. I'm like, yeah, there you go. Me neither. So that's good. But Spanish, and the funny thing is that after that at work, every time they had a Spanish speaking guy, they called me from my break. They called me from anywhere. Oh, who do we have who speaks Spanish? Is it Jawad? He's in a break. That's it. Just call him. Tell him he can take the break after. And they say, hey, Jawad, can you come and speak to this guy? I'm like, ole, amigo. I'm like, oh my god. And then again, those people, like from South America, that's not the kind of Spanish that I'm used to. Although it's very similar.
You kind of have that with the Moroccan background.
Yeah.
You kind of have
that comfort level.
Even if you don't have like the language, you kind of have those. The drivers, you know how to
have the plugins.
You have the plugins, you
That's true. I can give,
but
how we did it very easily. But again,
Yeah, but you
to
worked
have
at
a-
Apple,
to-
right?
yeah, I did
So
work
you
at
told them,
Apple.
like, did you try to turn it on and off again?
well,
That's
exactly.
all they tell
That's
you.
the first thing I
Then they
need to
say, okay,
learn.
we change it for you.
No, so I used to sell computers and everything, and I say, "Hey, amigo, cómo estamos? Bien." So this one I know how to say it really well, etc. And then I said, "Ven aquí, ven aquí, ven aquí. ¿Quieres computadores? Sí, ven aquí, ven aquí." And then I move him away from the managers who are like, "Oh my God, he's so great. He speaks Spanish."
Yeah, and
No,
like,
I don't.
Shuf
So
akhouya.
and then we go there, and I'm like, "Okay, Habibi,
Yeah.
here's what we're gonna do. You want a computer? You never come back here again. If I see you here, I have to kill you." But yeah, and but you know what? Ironically, and then I before that I used to work in a cafe, restaurant, bar, etc., and in the kitchen. Obviously, in the U.S., like
Yeah.
many kitchens, they have a lot of Hispanic people, and I learned Spanish with them a lot. I taught them English because, ironically, they
That's
live just together,
clever.
etc. So I learned my Spanish improved big time. So yeah, you gotta swim or sink. But yeah, I think we're gonna stop here
Okay.
for today,
All right.
if that's all right with you. We
Cool.
are just over an hour, which is pretty much what we expected. So how do you feel about this? Did you have a good experience? Was
It
it?
was awesome.
It was good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
really
We
cool.
should do it again. And we had so many things that we wanted to talk
Man,
about, but
a lot of things, yeah.
but we ended up not talking about anything that we
Yeah,
said we
well,
would talk about, which is
when
great.
there's a lot of things to talk about. you
Yeah,
need to
absolutely.
pick and choose, you know?
But yeah, we will definitely see you again. And as I'm
Great
trying
pleasure.
to put the outro.
Awesome. Well, thank you for having me.
Well, thank you. And this is Another Day in Paradise, episode 1 or 2, considering the intro. And we will see you soon with maybe the same guest, maybe another guest, or maybe 2 or 3 guests.
We need to negotiate the terms and everything.
We gotta negotiate the contract.
So,
This
yeah,
was
yeah.
just a free sample. So hopefully you guys liked it. It's
So
Another Day in
like, so I
Paradise.
come back.
And like, subscribe, and follow us. We'll talk about some very cool subjects. Thank you.
Thank you.